Hello everyone, welcome back. First video of the new year, so yay. I'm actually getting it up before like week 3. That's a good sign. So, I do apologize that I didn't do the second 2 books for December. I did have them planned. I read the third one and I had gotten a couple chapters into the fourth one. I just wasn't feeling it, you guys. Like this year, I haven't really had that holiday vibe. And I felt like if I finished doing them and reviewing them, then I might not have been fair to the stories, if that makes sense. So I didn't finish them. And I did a little soul searching this year, and I haven't really been able to figure out why I'm having such a hard time with getting the drive to do reviews or anything. And I think part of it is I just have gotten myself really out of whack. Because in the past, I've always been someone who read more traditional romances and historical romances and things like that. And then when I found like the MC, the mafia, the supernatural subgenres, I really got sucked in because it's a whole nother, version of the genre that I love. And I just haven't read like a whole lot of lighthearted stuff. I've been reading, stuff that has more mature content, more adult storylines, dark romances, and they're all good. I'm not saying they're not, and I'm going to continue to read them. But I haven't really read a whole lot of I don't think I read any historical romances last year. I don't think I read hardly any rom-coms last year, and I think I just really got out of balance. So I'm going to actively be proactive and attempt to work in a few more rom-coms and a few more historicals every month and see if that helps. So, that said, let's get into today's story, which is by an author that I'm sure you're getting tired of me mentioning, but I will never stop representing because I love Lila Rose. Today's story is Fumbled Love. She did release Bumbled Love, I believe this last year or the year before. I want to say I think it was this last year. But this is the first one. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge fan of the cover. I'm not a huge fan of the cover for the other one either. It just seems a little generic to me. That said, it's still a pretty cover. It just didn't do anything for me. So this is the story of Regan Wilde and Carter Anthony. So Carter Anthony and Regan Wilde had attended the same high school. He was a football star, dating a cheerleader. She was the plump, shy, kind of quirky girl who had a crush on him until a day where she overheard him and his friends talking. His friends were disparaging plus-size girls, and she figured he felt that way too and kind of lost her crush on him. Story starts off in modern day. She is now a teacher in their town's local school. He is a extremely famous football star, and he is getting ready to retire at the end of this year. And as such, he will be staying in their hometown as he looks for a place to either buy or rent. He wants to be closer to his family when he retires. His parents, his sister, and brothers all live there. And so he is asked by the local school to come speak there, and this is where he and Regan run into each other again. And I have to say, this is a very stereotypical rom-com. You can predict most of what's going to happen in terms of, some of the issues they're going to run into. Like, by nature of the fact that she'd overheard his friends talking a certain type of way, you can predict that she's going to have insecurities about the fact that she is still plus size and he is still this massively jacked football star, and think that there's no way he would ever be interested in her. You know right away that he's, the football hero dude who's always had a heart of gold, but thought too much about what people thought about him in high school and let that kind of dictate who he dated rather than dating who he wants. He'd had a crush on her as well, and nobody knew it. And you can predict that the story is going to be him taking this second opportunity to try and get her to go out with him and have his chance with the chick he always wanted to be with. That's not really what makes this story special. What makes this story particularly special is the way she writes the quirky heroine and the way the interactions with all of the characters interact. Because again, Regan is the stereotypical, quirky, plus size, klutz character. She has a heart of gold. Everybody she meets loves her, and she doesn't realize how drop dead gorgeous she is. And Carter obviously has a crush on her back and wants to try and form a relationship. She thinks they're becoming friends, and he's trying to make it more than that. I mean, it's pretty standard rom com stuff, like whether it's in a Hallmark movie, whether it's in a, the rom com releases at a movie theater or in a book, it's the same basic story. But the energy that is brought to the characters is what makes it work for me. Because you do get a lot of these really great mentions of things throughout the book. So a TV show that was really great about this back in the day was Gilmore Girls. Like, there would be a reference about El Duce, but there would be no explanation of like who El Duce is. So if nobody knows who El Duce is in terms of history, you're kind of screwed. But you get that in here because there are multiple times where characters are referencing some of the crazy antics that Regan and her friend have gotten into in the past, or the antics that Regan's mother has gotten into in the past, because it is very well established that Regan takes after her mother and they are both considered crazy by all of their friends and family. And at one point there is a conversation between Regan and her best friend, who they both work at the same school, in which we learn that there was an incident that included fire in Regan's class. And Regan goes to defend it, and the friend cuts her off. To this day, I want to know what happened in that classroom that day. She teaches an English class. I am wondering what happened that included fire. Okay? We have a scene where Regan meets Carter's family. And, any other rom-com would go a stereotypical route of like, being super nervous about meeting them. She doesn't realize she's meeting his family, and she ends up saying some very inappropriate things about Carter and how he fills out his football jersey. And then the nerves set in after she realizes who they are. And there's just like a whole lot of like recognizing what this story is, recognizing the tropes, and having fun with it. And that's what I like about it. It's not meant to change the idea of what a rom-com is. Because I have noticed it seems that some authors are trying to do it differently, and that's fine. That's cool. I have no problem with that. But rather than trying to change what a typical rom-com would be, Layla Rose just has fun with it and just really makes the characters extra. In no way would I necessarily believe that you'd have this many quirky people centered around each other in such a small town. But for the most part, a lot of the interactions are believable, even though they are hilarious. And there's just like this really great happy energy throughout the entirety of the book that at no point did I feel like, I don't want to finish this. Which I do get quite often with a lot of stories. Sometimes I have to work through certain scenes just to get through it so I can get to the good parts. Pretty much the whole story is the good part. It's just funny. It's fun. You know, it's a slow burn, but it's a really well done slow burn. And it's got its sexy times in there. It's got its fun times in there. There are points where you really feel for Reagan. There's parts where you really feel for Carter. There's parts where you feel for other characters, for things that they're going through. But at no point does it feel like it's out of balance. At no point does it feel like it's trying to be something it's not. It's just a really fun, lighthearted story that while I was reading it, I didn't feel the heaviness that has been the last 2 years, right? And I figured this story, because I'm probably going to go back and read it again. I've read it twice already. I'm going to go back and read it again at some point. The second one was good too, and I am going to do a review of it eventually. But it's just fun. It's fun. The characters are fun. The town is fun. The story's fun. There aren't really any triggers that I can think of aside from, one or two instances where, someone said something kind of mean. That's about it. It's an easy read. It's very fun. I don't think very many, if anybody, would be unhappy with the story if they get it and read it. I'd recommend it to almost anybody. I think probably the only people I wouldn't recommend it to would be some of my more conservative friends and family who don't enjoy sexy scenes. Other than that, I think I probably would recommend it to just about everybody. I'm not going to do a rating on this. Those of you who watch my previous videos know I used to do a rating system. I'm currently not doing one right now. I'm thinking I'm going to give it till the end of January. And in that time, if you want me to go back to a ranking system of some kind, put it down in the comments down below. Comment on my Instagram. So I know. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. I kind of feel a little bit like a cheat doing it simply because I don't comment on spelling. I don't comment on grammar or any of that stuff. I don't factor that in because my spelling, my grammar, and all that stuff sucks. So it'd be hypocritical for me to do that. But I feel like I can't give a fair rating when I'm not critiquing that. So I just do a basic recommend versus not recommend. Based off of whether or not I like the story. So that said, I would definitely recommend it. Let me know in the comments down below if you want me to start doing rankings again. I'll do it if that's what you want. And also comment down below if there's any historicals or rom-coms or anything specific that you would like me to read. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to read it, but I can guarantee that I will at least check it out and see if I want to read it. That said, I look forward to seeing you all at the next review. You have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.